All right, thank you, Brian, and welcome to everybody to the July 11, 2022 meeting of the Homewood City Council. I don't believe we have any proclamations or anything tonight, so I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. And we are going to start with an invocation, I believe, from Councilor Smith that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will please stand.
Bow your heads and pray with me. Dear God, thank you for this time together. Help us to be thoughtful in our considerations, to listen with open minds and open hearts and open ears. Help us to do your work in making our city better and in praising you and bringing you our prayers and our concerns. Please be with our city as we go through the World Games for the next 2 weeks. We're thankful for visitors from all around the world getting to see this beautiful country. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Everyone will face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Thank you, Councilor Smith. All right, Ms. Salter, if you'll please call roll.
Yes, sir. Councilor Waltney?
Here.
Councilor Gear? Here. Councilor Allamon? Councilor Wolverton?
Here.
Councilor Sims?
Here.
Councilor Jones?
Here.
Councilor Smith?
Here.
Councilor Nelms?
Here.
Councilor Andress?
Here.
Councilor Harden?
Here.
And President Wyatt.
Here.
You got one absent, but you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the reading of the minutes from our council meeting of June 27, 2022. I would entertain a motion and a second to dispense with the reading of said minutes and approval of the same.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Smith, second by Ms. Nelms. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And those are approved 10-0. All right, next we have board vacancies. First, we have the Ward 2 Historic Preservation Commission. I believe we're trying to set these for the 13th, but I think we've...
No, that one closed.
That one's closed.
That's the one that we need to set interviews for, but
Right.
the interviews had been set for the 13th, but unfortunately I'm unavailable that night. So I already I messaged Inslin, and she can move her interview to the Thursday, the next night, the 14th. We just need to check with Sydney to see if she can, I don't have her
I'll shoot
email.
her an email before I go home.
Okay.
All right.
I know in the morning.
Or you sent her stuff to me. I may have her email. I'll email her. I'll try to email her during the meeting, see if I can get her. But we're gonna try to scoot them to the next night, to the 14th.
Sounds good. All right, then we've got a couple of beautification board appointments that close on the 25th, so we'll wait for those. One for the Mental Health Authority as well, that will close it on the 25th. So our next meeting, hopefully we will have some, because I don't think we have any applicants for those yet. So hopefully we'll get some. I have not.
We do have one appointment that does need to be made tonight.
Yeah, I got that one
Okay.
last. So that's the Historic Preservation Ward 5.
Yes, that
But-
is, and Eddie Griffith is the current chair and is eligible to reapply, and he did, and he was the only applicant, so I would like to move to reappoint Eddie Griffith.
Second.
All right, motion from Ms. Smith, second from Mr. Harden. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 10-0, and thank you to Eddie for continuing to serve for us.
President Wyatt.
Yeah.
I did call Mr. Lloyd about the Mental Health Council for Jefferson County. He was going to send me just a quick summary of kind of what's required of that position, because we didn't seem to know a lot, and so I'm hopeful I'll get something from him that will kind of give us a little better idea of what expectations someone should have if they accept that.
Great, thank you. Okay, next we have a number of additions to the agenda since we did committees tonight as well for the holiday. All right, so all of these will be to old business. First one, 270622, request for consideration to add a three-way stop sign and crosswalk at the intersection of Oxmoor Road and Scott Street, brought to us by Cale Smith, city engineer, and myself. Next is 030622, request to amend fiscal year 21-22 budget for fuel costs, brought to us by J.J. Bischoff, Robert Burgett, and Melody Salter. 130622, request for permission for the mayor to sign a contract with Shoal Engineering for FEMA floodplain management, brought to us by Cale Smith. 140622, request for permission to submit grant application for Homewood Historic Preservation Commission, brought to us by Eddie Griffith and Robert Brigette and Melody Salter. 170622, request to authorize mayor to sign 3-year contract with AT&T for City Hall analog lines, brought to us by Robert Brigette. And 160622, request for permission to work within the right-of-way at 2510 18th Street South for construction of 18th Street townhomes, brought to us by John Abernathy and J.J. Bischoff. All right, I think I caught everything that came out of committee that wasn't already on the agenda, unless anyone's got something I missed. Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion and a second for approval of the amended agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gwaltney, second by Ms. Gear. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved 10-0. We have no items on the consent agenda, so we'll go straight to old business. And our first item, 050522, request to set a public hearing for vacation of right-of-way of 16th Street adjacent to 2901 Central Avenue, brought to us by Lee and Chelsea Maniscalco and Wyatt Pugh. We're going to carry this one over again. Hopefully we're going to have something to report on that soon. Next item, 290522, request for consideration for mile marker signage and statue for Lakeshore Trail, brought to us by Councilor Andrus and Berkeley Squires. My understanding is that this needs to go back to committee for some additional discussion, but I forgot to ask which committee. Ms. Salter, do you know which committee?
It was in special.
Special issues? Okay, thank you. So it'll go back to special issues for next week. Okay, 070622, public hearing set for tonight for consideration to rezone 2738 18th Street South from C4 Central Business District to C4A Retail Shopping District. The applicant is LMS Wilkerson Enterprises LLC in order to adjust the impact of the city's planned streetscape improvements to 18th Street South and as a means to establish a more appropriate zoning classification consistent with that of other adjacent and nearby commercial properties fronting 18th Street South. It comes to us from the Planning Commission with a 5-0 vote with a favorable recommendation for the rezone. And we will start with a report from Planning and Development, Ms.
And
Andrus.
President White, I'm sorry, that's my fault. We actually, Counselor Andrus took that one on June 20th, so I only gave her the minutes for the one we just had.
Got it.
But it was sent out without
I
recommendation.
was going to say, I feel certain you sent it out without recommendation.
I've got
I'm
it.
gonna go with Gwaltney Almond.
Yeah.
Do you have those minutes?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The committee met on June 20th and voted 4-0 to refer this item back to the full council without recommendation pending the public hearing. The motion was made by Councilor Wolverton and seconded by Councilor Nell.
That's
Oh,
fine.
I just, wow. I was like, whoop, two
Wolverton
there.
and Nails. Sorry about that, Counselor Andrus. Sorry about that.
I had given those to Andy since I wasn't here on the 20th, and I just.
I did pull, I pulled them
problem.
up on the screen. Sorry about that.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so with that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing. Mr. Smith, do you want to come up, or do we have the applicant? Y'all come on up, and if you will, just sign in at the podium.
Good afternoon, Ben Watson, Live Oak Engineering, representing Wilkerson Development. Yes, sir, thank y'all. As y'all know, this property is on the corner of 18th Street and 27th Court. This is the old Nadeau property. Nadeau has moved out, as y'all know, and so therefore they are in the process of renovating the building and doing some other stuff to the exterior. However, what this really became about was when the streetscape project came through and modified how existing parking spaces on the site were all accessed off 18th Street, and this completely blocked off the ability to get in that parking lot. So we've adjusted the parking spaces to make it as vehicle friendly as possible. But with that being said, with C4A being all up 18th Street all the way from the south and then to the north edge being C4A too, this really is more appropriately zoned for C4A to go with it. And so that is kind of the request.
In other words, this is to make this property consistent with the other properties
Yes.
fronting 18th Street.
Every other property that fronts 18th Street is either C4A or the mixed use, which is across the street, which works in the same
Okay.
zoning code. It's just mixed use.
Okay. All right, is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? If not, then I will close the public hearing and ask if there are any questions or comments from council.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I just wanted to add, for the sake of everybody on council, that we did meet with Ralph, it's not Wilkerson, he's the previous owner, right? Ralph, thank you, Ralph Proctor. So when the 18th Street project began, we did meet with all the property owners, and Ralph was very happy about the changes that were going to occur, and he felt like it would complement the business long-term. So I just want to make sure that that was included in the record.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Mr. Sims?
Yes, I just had a question about the site plan. Brian, if you'd put that back up. Just so I'm just trying to make sure that I know what I'm looking at. So what's essentially the far left on that graphic, what is currently scoped in that? There's like a little, that bottom left corner.
The bottom left corner is when the bike shop modified the parking spaces they had for their building. They came through and paved, they have street access, on-street parking along 27th Street. And so that was just cleaning up what had been done down there. So they basically left like 4 feet of a parking space and a halfway done handicap ramp. So we were just, that's to clean up the handicap ramp and create a full parking space down there is all we're trying to, but it's massaging what is already down there. That's what's in that far bottom left corner. Because the property, they actually paved over the property line when they started with that concrete work. So we were just trying to square it up and make it more efficient.
Okay. And the reason I ask is because I was trying to see if there was an opportunity to kind of improve that connection down, that street on that side. Because, I know there's a slope, there's a lot of utility poles, but obviously, the more we can clean up that entire stretch, the better it's going to be for all those businesses. So I was just wondering about the connectivity and what was shown in that.
Really, the two constraints on why we didn't propose going further down was, one, you start getting close to that three-way Y intersection that you really don't want cars backing up into. And two, like I said, the utility poles are there, and 2 of the 3 poles, we were basically told we can't move. And so it really limits our scope of what we could even do down there. And then third, that wall would have to be completely redone because the wall's at the top of the slope. And so if we tried to tear that slope down to put parking spaces, that would make that whole wall get rebuilt to bring the bottom of the wall down. You can't do that. So you'd have to reconstruct that whole wall. That's why we left that bottom corner as it was.
Well, thanks for talking that through. I just wanted to, I couldn't tell just by looking at it what was going on there, so thank you for the further explanation.
I do think that turning that parking area into a plaza that they could utilize will be a good thing for you guys and for the community, just to have a nice area for folks to sit outside or what. I think, isn't that the plans for that plaza?
Yes, and we were actually meeting with the landscape architect Wednesday. And so part of that, where I showed patio, some of that will be brick pavers kind of patio, and some of it will be, I don't want to call it a grass area, probably not real grass, but that won't be considered in our landscape area, but that will be some sort of, look like grass.
And where is that on the map?
The top
Where the
right,
hatching?
the pavers, that will not be a full-blown patio. That patio will be smaller than that, but it'll be outdoor use space as well. But it'll be.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, Mr. Kendrick, will you give us the first reading, please?
Yes, sir. It's an ordinance to further amend ordinance 1602 entitled zoning ordinance and the zoning map. Whereas the planning commission of the city has recommended that the following described property be rezoned from its current Homewood zoning classification C4 central business zoning district to the city of Homewood C4A retail shopping district. And whereas the city council has found it necessary to set a public hearing and set the same for July 11, 2022. Now therefore be it ordained by the city council as follows, that the property described here in Exhibit A is the legal description attached, being the same as hereby taken out of its current Homewood zoning ordinance C4 central business district and rezoned to the city C4A zoning district. Section 2, that from and after the enactment of this ordinance is that the restrictions and uses permitted by C4A of the zoning district shall be permitted for this property. Section 3, that July the 11th, 2022 at 6 o'clock p.m. is a time and place for the public hearing, at which time the public shall be provided an opportunity to speak for or against such rezoning. Section 4, the clerk is given notice of the public hearing as required by law. Section 5, any part of provisions of the ordinance declared to be unconstitutional or invalid by a court of competent jurisdictions, all other parts or provisions not affected thereby shall remain in full force and effect. Section 6, the ordinance shall become effective immediately upon passage by the city council, approved by the mayors, otherwise becoming law.
All right, thank you very much. I would now entertain a motion and a second for unanimous consent.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Smith, second by Mr. Harden, and a roll call vote, please, Ms. Salter.
Counselor Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Gear?
Yes.
Counselor Wolverton?
Yes.
Counselor Sims?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Nels?
Yes.
Counselor Andrus?
Yes.
Counselor Harden?
Yes.
And President Wyatt.
Yes. All right, so that is 10-0, and now I'd entertain a motion and a second for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Smith, second by Ms. Andrus, and another roll call vote, please, Ms. Salter.
Counselor Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Gear?
Yes. Yes.
No?
Didn't know if you heard me.
Okay. Counselor Wolverton?
Yes.
Counselor Sims?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Nels?
Yes.
Counselor Andrus?
Yes.
Counselor Harden?
Yes.
And President Wyatt.
Yes. All right, so that is also 10-0, and that'll be ordinance 2844. All right, next item, 10-05-22, public hearing set for September 12, 2022 at 6 p.m. to consider annexation into the city of Homewood for 314 Happy Lane, brought to us by Ketchum Properties and Melody Salter and Robert Burgett. We will carry this item over for the public hearing on September 12th. Next item, 06-06-22, public hearing set for August 8, 2022 at 6 p.m. to consider amending the city's zoning ordinance to include the fence ordinance, brought to us by Counselor Andrus and Cale Smith. That item will also be carried over, and we will hear that on August 8th. Next item, 18-06-22, public hearing set for July 25, 2022 at 6 p.m. for consideration of condemnation of the dwelling structure at 2900 16th Place South, brought to us by Wyatt Pugh. We will carry that item over for that public hearing as well. Next item, 19-06-22, public hearing set for July 25th, 2022 at 6 p.m. for consideration of condemnation of the dwelling structure at 137 West Glenwood Drive, brought to us also by Wyatt Pugh of our building department. We will carry that item over for that public hearing as well. Next item, 20-06-22, public hearing set for tonight to consider declaring the property located at 701 Grove Street a public nuisance due to a violation of Chapter 11 Health and Sanitation, Article 2 Litter, Unhealthy Accumulation on Premises, Section 1142, Open Storage of Certain Items as codified in the Code of Ordinances of the City of Homewood, brought to us by Scott Cook, our Code Enforcement Officer. And we will start with a report from Public Safety.
And I have that.
Okay, Mr. Jones, thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I chaired the meeting for Mr. Gwaltney. We met tonight at 4:30. And the recommendation coming out of committee 3-0 is to send out without recommendation pending the public hearing tonight.
All right, thank you very much. So with that, we will open the public hearing on this item, and Mr. Cook is already at the podium for us. If you will, just give us a rundown of what we're dealing with.
Okay, the property is owned by Ann Grant at 701 Grove Street, the same address as the violations. The first notice went out on April the 7th. She received it, or it was left in her mailbox. Since then, I've had no communication with her. We posted the property last week, and the sign was removed apparently over the weekend. And of this morning, you see the pictures. Nothing has changed on the front porch.
All right. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? If not, then I will close the public hearing and ask if there are any questions or comments from council.
Mr. Cook, is it just for the front of the property, or are there any additional pictures back and side?
No, right now, we're just dealing with the front porch. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if, litter and.
No, we've got a lot of toys scattered around the property, but that's kind of acceptable,
Okay.
That's outdoor toys.
All right. Any other questions or comments? If If not, I would entertain a motion. All right, motion by Ms. Nelm, second by Mr. Gwaltney. And I'm assuming that's to declare this a public nuisance? All right, any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 10-0 and will be resolution 22-108.
What is the action for moving forward on that? I mean, this
Did
is
we clean
different
it?
than,
Did we clean it up and put a lien on it?
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is just like if the grass.
overgrowth and whatnot.
Yeah, same process. All right, next item, 210622, public hearing set for tonight to consider declaring the property located at 55 Bagby Drive a public nuisance due to a violation of ordinance 1910 and 1750 excessive growth. Also brought to us by Scott Cook. And we will start with another report from Public Safety. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Common theme here, 3-0 was the motion to send out without recommendation pending the public hearing.
All right, thank you very much. So with that, we'll open the public hearing, and Mr. Cook, if you'll tell us about this one.
Yes, this property is owned by 5565 Bagby and Associates, LLC, out of New York, New York. First notice went out on May 25th. Apparently, it was delivered, it was signed for. Since that time, a little bit of work has been done on the property, but very, very little. We posted the property, sent another notice about the public hearing tonight, and I have had no correspondence or anything from them, phone call or anything from them.
All
And
right.
these are pictures from this morning.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? I will close the public hearing and ask if there are any comments from council. And if not, then I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Cook, is that building open?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that building open?
It's all-
It appeared to be open in
I
that
don't-
picture.
I go back here and check, but I
There-
don't think so.
Okay.
There are multiple windows and things
The
that have been
windows
busted
are-
I knew
out.
the windows had been busted out, but I was
Um,
just curious if
but
we
I think
needed to
it-
refer this to.
It's also been on the abatement board.
Okay,
Yeah, I
perfect.
think the windows that have been busted out have been boarded up, so I don't think it's.
For the time being, but there's the catwalk and thing, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there's other issues with the building,
Yes.
which is why it's going to the abatement board.
I mean,
Okay,
they
that
have
was my question.
done this for 20, 25 years. They've not touched this property really to
Yeah.
do anything to improve it
That's
that
why
I've
it's been
seen.
I think there for a while it was in tax arrears or something.
Was
wasn't
it? I mean, it's just awful what they've allowed to happen here.
All right, any other questions or comments? If not, then entertain a motion.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Wolverton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is 10-0 and will be resolution 22-109. All right, next item, 220622, public hearing set for tonight to declare the property located at 65 Bagby Drive a public nuisance due to a violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750 excessive growth, also brought to us by Scott Cook. And again, we'll start with a report from Public Safety, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The committee met, voted 3-0 to recommend sending this out without recommendation pending the public hearing.
All right, thank you very much. With that, we will open the public hearing. Mr. Cook, I know this one is sort of connected to the last one, so
Absolutely.
whatever you need to tell us.
It's owned by the same owner, 5565 Bagby and Associates out of New York, New York. Same notice went out at the same time, May 25th. Little work has been done. These are the pictures from this morning, and it certainly needs some attention.
Okay. All right, anyone else here to speak for or against this item? We'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council?
Motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to declare it a nuisance from Mr. Wolverton, a second from Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is also 10-0 and will be resolution 22-110. All right. We're almost there, Mr. Cook. All right, 230622, public hearing set for tonight to consider declaring the property located at 464 Cornelius Drive a public nuisance due to violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750 excessive growth, also brought to us by Scott Cook. And another report from Public Safety, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. 3-0 recommendation to send it out without recommendation pending the public hearing.
All right, So that will open the public hearing. Mr. Cook, it's your show again.
Oh, yes. This property is owned by Philip Daniels at 424 Cornelius Drive, same address as the violation. These pictures were taken this morning. We sent the first letter out May 25th. No correspondence from the owner whatsoever. We posted the property. Like I say, these were pictures this morning, but when I came into the room here, I was introduced by a neighbor sitting back here who showed me some recent pictures, and a lot of work has been done.
Since this morning?
Yes.
Yes.
Since this
Mr.
morning.
Ramey got through to
Yes.
the right person.
So if you were to ask me, I mean, the gentleman may like to speak, I don't know, but if you were to ask me, I'd like to carry it over until I get back out there and put my eyes on it, and make sure it is in compliance.
Jack,
All
are you
right.
good with that? Okay.
Okay. Well, in that case, we will carry this item over without objection. We probably will leave the public hearing open in case the circumstances change where someone feels like they need to come and speak to it. So we will leave it open, and we will see you again, Mr. Cook, on the, what is that, the 26th? 6th. 25th. Woo, man. All right, on the 25th. Thank you, Mr. Cook.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Ramey?
Yes, if we're gonna be speaking on this property on the 25th, Mr. Cook and I will be in conversations in between then, but we're out of town with our grandchildren at the beach. And we won't be able to come back to that meeting.
And if what you could do, since y'all are gonna be communicating, Mr. Ramey, if you just wanna, you or Carol can just text me or call me or email me if y'all have anything y'all wanna add, and I can make any comments for y'all if you want me to. Okay.
All right. So that brings us to 270622, request for consideration to add a three-way stop sign and crosswalk at the intersection of Oxmoor Road and Scott Street, brought to us by Cale Smith and myself. And another report from Public Safety, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Public Safety Committee voted 3-0 to recommend approval of this item.
All right. Mr. Kendrick, can you give us the first reading?
Yes, sir. It's an ordinance to regulate traffic in the city of Homewood and to provide for the installation of 2 pedestrian crosswalks across Oxmoor Road at the intersection of Scott Street with Oxmoor Road. That every person, firm, or corporation operating a motor vehicle in a westerly direction on Oxmoor Road shall come to complete stop intersection of Oxmoor Road with the easterly right-of-way line of Scott Street. Section 2, that every person operating a motor vehicle in easterly direction on Oxmoor Road shall come to complete stop at intersection of Oxmoor Road with a westerly right-of-way line of Scott Street. Section 3, every person operating a motor vehicle in a southerly direction on Scott Street shall cause the motor vehicle to come to complete stop intersection of Scott Street with a northerly right-of-way line of Oxmoor Road. Section 4, no person, firm, or corporation shall park within 30 feet of the intersection of Oxmoor Road and Scott Street. Section 5, the chief of police shall erect and cause appropriate lines, markings, no parking signs, stop signs at the intersections and places described in Section 1-4. Section 6, the chief of police shall be directed to install 2 pedestrian crosswalks across Oxmoor Road in the vicinity of the intersection of Scott Street with Oxmoor Road. Section 7, a violation of any section of this ordinance shall constitute a misdemeanor upon conviction shall be punished as provided by Section 1-8 of the Code of Ordinances. Section 8, that the provisions of this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by the city council, approved by the mayors, otherwise becoming law.
All right. Any questions or comments from council? If not, I would entertain a motion and a second for unanimous consent.
So moved.
Second.
Motion for Ms. Smith, second for Ms. Andrus, and a roll call vote, please, Ms. Salter.
Counselor Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Gear?
Yes.
Counselor Wolverton?
Yes.
Counselor Sims?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Nels?
Yes.
Counselor Andrus?
Yes.
Counselor Harden?
Yes.
And President White.
I would now entertain a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Nelms, second by Mr. Gwaltney, and another roll call vote, please, Ms. Salter.
Yes, sir. Counselor Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Gear?
Yes.
Counselor Wolverton?
Yes.
Counselor Sims?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Smith,
Yes.
Counselor Nellens,
Yes.
Counselor Andrus.
Yes.
Counselor Harden,
Yes.
and President White.
Yes. All right, so that is also 10-0 and will be ordinance 2845. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, next item, 030622, request to amend fiscal year 21-22 budget for fuel costs, brought to us by J.J. Bischoff, Robert Burgett, and Melody Salter. And we will start with a report from Finance. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met, voted 3-0 to approve this item.
All right, so we have a motion from Finance. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 10-0 and will be resolution 22-111. Next item, 130622, request for permission for the mayor to sign a contract with Shoal Engineering for FEMA floodplain management, brought to us by Cale Smith. And another report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee discussed this. This is not new money. This has already been budgeted, but the motion was 3-0 to approve this item.
All right, so we have a motion from Finance. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is 10-0 and will be resolution 22-112. Which brings us to 140622, request for permission to submit grant application for Homewood Historic Preservation Commission, brought to us by Eddie Griffith, Robert Burgett, and Melody Salter. And another report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met, voted 3-0 to approve this item.
All right, so we have a motion from Finance. Any questions or comments?
Can I make a quick
Yes, Ms. Smith.
note? I just want to clarify, this is a grant that we've already been awarded, so this is to accept the grant. And there was a little bit of misinformation being shared, I believe, online about this. This is a grant, when we were awarded the Certified Local Government designation, it requires members of our Historic Preservation Commission to obtain a certain number of training hours. And this grant is specifically available to members of the commission who want to go to seminars to get that training. That is what the grant is for. And so the grant was offered to any member of the commission who wanted to attend. Eddie Griffith is the only person who could attend the conference. I think it's like 7 days, 6 days. It's in Cincinnati. And it's a national conference. He's going both as a representative of the city and he's also a member of the Alabama State Commission. So he is going to pay 40% of his travel expenses, and the grant will pay for 60% of those expenses, and that is specifically for him to obtain those training hours that he is required to have by our Certified Local Government designation.
Well, thank you very much for that explanation. That's helpful. All right, any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is 10-0 as well, and will be resolution 22-113. Next item, 170622, request to authorize the mayor to sign a 3-year contract with AT&T for City Hall analog lines, brought to us by Robert Burgett. And another report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This one, again, is a little bit misleading. We're not authorizing the mayor here to sign a 3-year contract. Mr. Burgett went out and actually we're lowering our cost here for the phone line to $40. So it's really just 3-0 approval to accept that service agreement for the $40 a month. This is a savings to the city.
All right, so we have a motion from Finance. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's also 10-0, and we resolution 22-114. All right, next item, 160622, request for permission to work within the city right-of-way at 2510 18th Street South for construction of 18th Street townhomes, brought to us by John Abernathy and J.J. Bischoff. And we will start with a report from Public Works. Mr. Harden is reporting that out.
Yes, sir. Public Works Committee met and voted 4-0 to send that out to City Council for approval.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion from Public Works. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that is also 10-0 and will be resolution 22-115. All right, so that brings us to the committee referral agenda. I would entertain a motion and a second for approval of the committee referral agenda.
Second?
Motion from Mr. Wolverton, second from Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 10-0. All right, which brings us to other new business. First item, 020722, request to set a public hearing for consideration of a sign variance at 2709 19th Place South brought to us by Mike Walker, the owner, and Wyatt Pugh of our building department. This public hearing will be set for the 25th. Is that good? All good with that? Okay. We'll set that for July 25th at 6 p.m. All right, next item, 030722, request to set a public hearing for consideration of a sign variance at 273 Lakeshore Parkway, brought to us by Megan Ellis of Advanced Signs in Chipotle and Wyatt Pugh. We will also set that one for July 25th at 6 p.m. All right, which brings us to our last item, 040722, request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of June 28, 2022 through July 11, 2022, brought to us by Robert Reggett and Melody Salter. Mr. Jones, who has the pleasure?
Mr. Harden.
Mr. Harden.
Done a great job with that.
Great pleasure here. Yes, I had the chance to review all those. I had some questions that Mr. Burgett ably answered, and all is well. So I make a motion to approve them.
All right.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Harden, and motion for the motion, and the second for Mr. Gwaltney. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is 10-0, and will be resolution 22-116, which brings us to the end of the agenda tonight. Mr. Mayor?
Just a quick comment. Last week was filled with World Games events and welcoming everybody to Birmingham. It's been fantastic so far, but I have to say that the red, white, and blue Old Glory relay on Wednesday was about the hottest I've ever been in my life. I think I'm still sweating, Walter. It was unbelievable. But we had great representation from Homewood. I'm so happy that everybody that I had requested to participate could participate, and I think we get to show the world who Homewood is. So I'm glad to be a part of that. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gwaltney?
I have no comments this evening, and I do not believe that I have a good reason to set public safety, as I don't see any referral items, and I'm pretty sure we cleaned the agenda off tonight, except for probably an update on traffic calming. Do we need to meet for that?
No, probably not. I mean, I talked to Kale earlier.
Did you leave one other thing on there?
They did some traffic studies on South Forest. They're still.
Yeah, there are two.
There are two items. I thought there were just one.
Yeah, there.
Okay, my count was wrong.
Yeah, the two items that,
I will set public safety
Are they
for,
both just standing items?
yeah, they're for, two, remember there's public hearings on the 25th for those other two properties. And we did not.
That's right, we did not do the
We
two
didn't handle
condemnations.
yeah,
those.
that's fine.
So
We'll
the-
call it
yeah.
for 15 minutes after finance.
Okay.
Next week after finance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Gear?
I don't have any comments, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wolverton?
I think I just have the one new item. Does that sound right?
I think that's right.
Okay. We'll set that for after public safety.
Okay.
And yeah, we took a trek. I guess that was Thursday night for the opening ceremony. Thanks to about half the line in downtown Homewood for deciding to Uber instead, because it allowed us to get there on the second bus that came around.
Glad it worked for you.
so it worked for us. The bus was probably the highlight for the kids on the way back, certainly, because it was midnight and packed and a little zooey. But no, I thought I saw Mr. Harden there. I don't know if he could hear a little bit better from his vantage point, but the acoustics were not great if you were to the side of the stage. But we still enjoyed the experience. We especially liked the drones. All that stuff was pretty cool if anybody saw the footage from that. But yeah, we're excited. Excited they're here, excited to see, obviously not everybody can be at every event, so it's fun to see people post videos and see all sorts of different activities going on, whether it's parkour or sumo wrestling or anything else. So, but that's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Sims?
Thank you. Just continuing the World Games theme, had a chance to go with my son and check out inline hockey and fin swimming on Friday, and it was so much fun. And I just want to encourage everyone to just go out and attend at least one event. You know, you're not going to have this opportunity ever again. Don't let it pass you by. It really is fun and something to experience.
Was fin swimming the mermaid competition?
Yes.
They had the giant.
Okay.
And the two events we saw a Ukrainian athlete win gold, so that was really great. And also we were kind of in the Hungarian contingency, and they placed first and third in one of the competitions. So it's a really cool atmosphere, so definitely check it out. As well as the events itself, again, it's just the entire experience. Beautification Board met today. Just grateful that entire group. They really do awesome work, and thankful for their commitment. Speaking of which, if you're interested in getting involved, we have 2 open positions which close on July 25th, both an at-large role as well as Ward 2. And also thankful to some of the members for getting together a couple weeks ago and doing a cleanup near a gateway sign in Hollywood. Also, Berkeley has done some maintenance around some of those gateway signs, so thankful to them for that volunteer project, and also looking forward to getting a gateway sign at Valley and Green Springs in the near future for that entrance to our city as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
I guess that's going to be our theme tonight. I must say that our mayor is the most physically fit of all mayors in the whole Birmingham area.
We won't mention what a curve that is to be graded on.
He went from City Hall to 8th Avenue North, going over the mountain, not on the expressway, going over the mountain. So that I was very impressed with that, and I love being part of that because it did feel good to see so many people coming out cheering, seeing the flags, and I mean it just was a great experience that I'll always cherish. So, and then one other quick aside is that I was coming back from Atlanta on a trip, and there were several athletes that were coming in for the World Games, and all the medallion members got together, and we gave them all of our seats, upgraded seats, because they were in the back of the airplane, so we moved everybody, all the athletes, to first class. And they were like, "Oh, I'm coming to Birmingham in first class." Well, sorry, it's going to be 100 degrees when you get there, but anyway, it was a great feeling. Mr. President, excellent meeting tonight. That does not go without saying. You're running great meetings, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for that, and I want to also apologize for me missing a lot. Last week, I was with 24 Boy Scouts on a high adventure trip. So that it all went well. Slept 6 nights on a sailboat. So that was an incredible. And then next week, my choir. We're honored. Our choir was selected to be the choir in residence at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. So that's where I'll be next week. So I apologize that I'll be missing, but just y'all are my family, so I like to share with you when all these things happen.
You know, we could go do it there.
Yeah, well, I think we should represent. Yes,
that's right.
Represent them there. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Right. Yeah.
We don't have a travel budget.
Right.
No, sir, we can't do that.
That was the best comment in a while.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Ms. Smith?
Yes, y'all are going to get to hear lots from me because I'm going to be chairing finance for Walter. I told him his payment is he's going to have to tell me about London because I'm planning a trip. So I'll set special issues for after Public Works. To carry on the World Games, I got to go to sumo last night. It was really cool. We were there for 5 hours. I never would have thought when we got there, we were like, "There's no way we're staying till the end." And then we were in, and we saw a Ukrainian athlete win the gold too, and it was really neat. She just burst into tears. It was really, really special. And we're going to softball on Wednesday night for the medal game, so I'm excited about that. Historic Preservation Commission meets tomorrow night here on the 4th floor at 7:00. And like Nick said, I'm just so thankful for the folks who serve so faithfully on that commission, trying to do good works for the city, and just thankful for their service. Yes, and finance will be at 5 o'clock. I thought you called it. You can. You're not gone yet. Okay, so finance at 5.
And special issues after.
And special issues after public works.
Okay. Ms. Nelms?
Yes, World Games, of course. I'm a bit of a homebody, so I was not going at all. And thanks to Nick Sims, we got to go to ballroom dancing, and that was wonderful. And thanks to Andrew Wolverton, we decided to take the bus, because I guess I was gonna drive. I don't know what I was thinking. But we hopped on the bus right here at City Hall, and it was quite pleasant, and my girls loved it. Me and all my girls got to go, so it was wonderful. That's all I got.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Andrews?
I do not need to set P&D. I wanted to say congratulations to Eddie Griffith for another term, and we're so thankful for his service and his leadership. I am obsessed with the World Games, absolutely obsessed. I am. I can't stop talking about it. Julie and I work on BSC campus, and we have 1,000 athletes that are staying there, and I mix up with the athletes every day. I go sit in the cafeteria and eat lunch around them, and go to the quad and watch them play cornhole. I do. I'm utterly obsessed. We went to the opening ceremonies. We went to karate at BSC. We went to dance sport. We were there at Ballroom on Saturday night. And then 2 lacrosse games yesterday, and we're going to lacrosse tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, USA versus Canada in the gold medal, and then Japan versus Great Britain in the silver medal. So that's tomorrow night. And I just want to encourage everyone, even if you just go walk around City Walk, which is fabulous. I mean, you guys, this is amazing. The transformation that's happened in our whole region has just been fantastic. So I can't say enough. I just encourage everybody. Like, I think what's been so great is that people are trying new things. And you know, the question for so long was, are people going to come out? Are they going to support it? Are they going to do it? And they are. They absolutely are. And I just couldn't be happier for everybody. So.
I did try to speak German to the German athletes. They sat with us
Yes,
on Fridays, and they were.
Well, I do have a funny story that some Japanese gentlemen had come into my office, and, you know, we're at the Welcome Center, and so they showed up at the Welcome Center thinking that was welcoming them for the World Games, even though it's not. You know, it's the Welcome Center for the BSC campus. And so they sat there on Thursday, and, you know, they didn't speak the language, and they, you know, had some coffee and some snacks. And then I came in the next morning at 8:15, and they were already in my office having some coffee and some snacks. And then they came back after lunch with more of them, and they were just sitting. I think they just found this little quiet spot on campus. And so finally we had to fake like we were having a big staff meeting right in front of my desk to tell them to leave. And, yes, and we were like trying to explain, and they couldn't understand. And finally, one of them went, "Closed?" And we're like, "Yes, we're closed." They're so nice, and I'm just really obsessed with seeing them on my campus. It's just been so much fun. So anyway, go Birmingham.
All right, Mr. Harden.
Yeah, I too have attended the World Games. I was there with Andrew. We tried to get on the bus. Got there at 5:40, saw a bus coming up right as we were getting up there, and it took its people off, and 6 came, 6:15, 6:30, and luckily a young man going to a baseball game that I know very well called, and he drove us down there. And then because T-Maybe, otherwise known as T-Mobile, didn't have any connectivity, I kept texting this young man, and it wasn't going through. Turned my phone off, and luckily he met us at the Topgolf parking lot. But I couldn't have been more proud of Birmingham. When those Ukrainian athletes came out, it was like those who weren't there, you just couldn't believe how much. I mean, I think we clapped more than for the Americans. I mean, we were so supportive of those Ukrainian athletes, and I couldn't have been more proud of us as a city and all that's done here. What you do figure out is that the United States doesn't really participate in most of these games. I mean, the swimming, we just don't participate. I mean, we were in 7th place in the relay for the fin swimming, and we lost by 43 seconds. They would have lapped us. I mean, we just don't. But it's been great having the folks here, and a lot of folks from a lot of different places, mostly Eastern European and Asian. But so I'm very excited for what all has been years of work that has come to fruition, and it's great for our city, and I think for the city of Homewood and everybody else. So.
All right.
You got to give it up for Coach Steve Sills. I forgot
Oh,
to
yeah.
mention Coach Sills spinning. Yep, at archery, being a DJ at archery.
All right, well, I don't have anything other than to just repeat what everyone else has said about the World Games, and it's not too much longer that we got them, so enjoy them while they're here. And that's it for tonight, so we will be back here on the 25th.